Hello everyone and welcome back to the third episode in the tutorial video series of creating a Python logger with object-oriented programming. I never actually remember how to actually call this project when I start a video because it's just such a long name that I'm just like, I don't even know what to call it. I'm just going to call it PRJ000 from now on. It's just easier, right? Purge 000, PRJ 000 or something. I don't know. Just call it something like that. Anyways. Last time we got this main log function here done. Great progress. We managed to get all that done. Yep. And I think we also did this as well. So some great progress. Now, this video might be a little bit shorter because the stuff we got to do now is slightly more technical in the aspect of complexity, but it's also not as much code as last time. So we'll see how long it takes us. But let's just get straight into it. So we want to create a new function, and we're going to start with console logging. Now, this is the important part, or not def, important part, because we're actually going to start testing our code from this point on. I probably should have written this tutorial in a way that allows us to test everything as we go, but you know what? It's my first ever tutorial, so I'll learn that for next time. Okay. So def __ log _ console, and in here we just want to have timestamp message style _ ANSI and header. Okay. In here then we simply just write one line of code. Print, not a pound sign, \033 square bracket 96M, which is just the little color, green color or cyan color for the, what do you call it? Like the identifier of the logger, right? So we do plus self.ident like this. And then bracket like that, and \033 square bracket 0 like that, which just resets the color. So it just resets back to default white or gray or whatever the default color is, right? Style _ ANSI and ANSI or whatever you want to call it, plus time stamp. Then we do this like that, and we have header in here. The reason we're using a comma is just because it adds a space automatically for us, so it just makes things a little bit easier instead of doing pluses all the time. So we just do that, and it's a little bit more friendly. We do message then like that, and plus. We just use the plus then to add something which we don't need a space for. So 033 \0M like that. Or not backslash, sorry, square bracket. And we don't need a comma here. Okay, there we go. So this is our console logging pretty much done. So what we can actually do with this now is go to our main file and actually test it. So first of all, from logger, import all. And we'll just delete this. And we should be able to simply do log is equal to logger logger1. Okay. Then log dot fatal testing fatal log message %s %d and %f like that, and we will do example string concat, then we'll have 5 and 64.2 like that. Okay, so let's run that and see what happens. We get an error. Fantastic. Okay, invalid format string. Oh, I see why. I've got a dash after the %m. So let's go back here. Let's scroll up. We need to just remove that dash here and scroll back down to do the same for what it is here. No big problem. So this is the part where we're probably going to get some errors, but you know what? Never mind. It worked. Oh, wow. It works, but it has a very strange error here. Okay, let's fix that, shall we? I think that's just a formatting issue. Plus, yeah. Yeah, I forgot an M. So just make sure you have this M here, like that, and it should fix it. Yeah, perfect. Logger 1, 2025 08 31 08 08 28. Fantastic. Fatal testing fatal log message example string concat 5 and 64.2000. Perfect. So this thing here basically works. Fantastic. I'm very happy with that. Very, very. Okay, awesome. So let's test them all now. So let's just copy this down and just change it to error. Warning. Warning. Why can't I spell warning? There we go. Warning. Success. Information. Debug. We can actually test if debug and trace now work based on production or debug mode, which is pretty cool. So we're going to actually test that as well. And we'll do trace here like that. Now we'll run it. We should get all the different colors. Fantastic. It all works. Now we are in debug mode. Let's switch to production. And let's just double check that that works. Fantastic. It does. So let's just copy all of this and create a new one because I want to test that it works, right? Properly. So we're going to do log 2. Just change everything to log 2. We'll also change the name here instead of log 1 to log 2. Logger 2. Production, logger 1, logger 2. If we switch it back to debug, it should work as well. Yep, fantastic. That is all working. And as you can see, we get the trace here working. Main.py, line 11. Line 11. Yep, fantastic. Works. Awesome. That is awesome. Well done. Perfect. Okay. So what I'm going to do then is I am going to let's get the file login done. So let's go def __ log _ file, and we'll do timestamp message and header, and then if os.path os.path.exists self.file _ path try file is equal to open self.file path plus str self.file logging timestamp dot replace. This is important. We don't want to have dashes because sometimes that can cause some issues. We want underscores, so we're going to replace those with underscores. Okay. And once we've done that, we can then do plus dot log, and then a for append, just like that. File dot write, we will do plus self dot ident. That, and after we have that, we can do plus, we'll make a space, timestamp plus space, that space, plus header plus space plus message plus \n for a new line. Okay, so that's basically our file writing format, and we're getting an error. Oh, that's fine. Now we can do except. We'll do an except. We'll do exception as E. Okay. Oh, we also need to make sure we do file.close as well. Okay. And in here, we can say current _ toggle _ file _ logging is equal to self dot toggle file login. The reason we do this is we need to currently save the whether or not we're currently allowing file toggling on or off, because we're going to temporarily turn it off. So we're going to do self.set _ toggle file to false, just temporarily. that is why we're storing this here, so that we can turn it back on if it was already on. If not, it'll stay off. That's fine. Self.fatal, because we want to create our own log, right? And we're just going to say an error occurred %s %str e, like that. Okay. Fantastic. Self.set toggle file logging will be current, like that, so that we can just turn it back on if it was off, right? Next, we want to do an else here on the if statement, and we want to do the same thing because, so we're just going to copy this and we're just going to paste it in here. The reason we're doing the same thing is because we don't need that. File is because this is going to determine if the file path exists. So we just want to tell the user, hey, file path doesn't exist. We can't do this function, right? File path for logger is not valid. Fantastic. Okay. So that's that pretty much done. Now we do have around 4 minutes left, so we are going to get the database one done as well, because it's not a lot left to do. So what we can do is go up here and say log.toggle set toggle file to true. Okay, and we'll run it. And we should see in logs, we get a file, and let's just check it's all working. Fantastic, it is all working. Now, if we set it to false, we should not get a file. Didn't add anything here. Perfect. It didn't create a file. True. And if we do this now for log2 as well, we should get a file where we have logger1 and logger2. Perfect. It does work. And if we switch to production, it should create a file and not print any debug information. Awesome. That is all working. Fantastic. So we are ready to move on to the actual database now. So let's go down here, create a new function called _log, _log _db, do timestamp, message, and header. And in here, we're just going to do if self.con is not none and self.cursor is not none. Okay. In here, then, we simply want to do self.cursor.execute insert into logs, logger, timestamp, header, and message. Okay. And then we have values. So this is just some SQL code we're writing here. And we'll have question mark, comma, question mark, comma, question mark, comma, question mark, 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. Yep, that's fine. And once we've done that, we can do some brackets after it and str. Make sure we use str just to make sure it, converts correctly. Otherwise, there could be some compatibility issues later on. That's why I like to use str for this stuff, because it's just easier just to make sure, because it's going to be a text anyways. So we just do str self.ident, str timestamp, str header, and then str message. Like that. And after we've done that, we can do self.con.commit like that. Okay. Now, what we can do is actually test it. So let's run it. It doesn't create any database file, which is perfect, exactly what we want. Now, if we copy this down and type db, let's check if that works. We are in production. It does work. We're going to open up DataGrip like this. We're going to close this. We're going to open up a new data source, SQLite. Temp. And we're just going to navigate here to the project, which is going to be 1 second. Let me get there. Projects. So I'm in the project folder, logs.db, like that. Open that up. Table 3 logs. There we go. As you can see, we are in production, so we only got this, but we get logger1 here. So now let's test it in debug. So it still does it. Let's check here. So let's refresh. We get more logs. Perfect. And we get debug and trace this time. So one more thing we want to test is that it actually works with both loggers. So we will do that, but with log2, run it. And in production, yep, there we go. We just refresh. As you can see, it works logger2 and logger1 here. Fantastic. Everything is working as expected. That is awesome. And that is the end of this tutorial. You have successfully completed this tutorial and gained the knowledge, experience, and ability to create your own logger library that you can now use for all kinds of fascinating and interesting projects in your Python code. So very well done to every single one of you. I hope you enjoyed, I hope you learned something, and I will see you in the next series. Bye.